Coming up, we'll hit the streets with Iraqi National Police and the 1-8 Cav, and meet a different kind of band of brothers. But first, sniffing out weapon stashes and uncovering insurgents is a tough job that takes a lot of teamwork. 10th Mountain Division soldiers air assaulted in with Iraqi Army troops in an effort to make Iraq a safer place. Army Private John Cano takes us to the landing zone for more.
Soldiers from Bravo Battery, 2nd Battalion, 15th Field Artillery Regiment, 2nd Brigade Combat Team, along with soldiers of the 4th Battalion, 6th Iraqi Army Division, air assaulted into the Sherbesha village area. They were looking at all the historical weapons cache sites for any new activity.
Today's operation was air assault in the zone, clear some houses, and then do a cache sweep and set up for extract.
The coalition forces supervised and gave advice to the Iraqi soldiers, while the two forces worked together in order to complete the operation.
I think that working with the Iraqi Army is, it's vital to what we need to do to get the job done. And I just think that it's imperative that they find their own identity, and we just assist them so that sooner or later they can take over.
Coalition forces, along with soldiers from the Iraqi Army, are working hard to reduce terrorism in their respected areas. They are making great progress in not allowing anti-Iraqi forces any opportunities to cause harm to the citizens of Iraq. Reporting for the 2nd Brigade Combat Team, 10th Mountain Division, from the Sherbesha Village, Iraq, I'm PFC John Cano.
Speaking of teamwork, have you ever wondered what it's like to work side by side with soldiers from another country? I followed the troops of 1-8 Cav recently as they patrolled the streets of Baghdad and talked to one soldier to find out just what it feels like.
The soldier was nervous. It wasn't being on the streets of Baghdad that made him feel that way.
I felt a little uncomfortable with it because I haven't worked with them before, but I'd probably feel the same way with any other U.S. soldiers as well if you haven't worked with someone before. But I feel like it's necessary to get them on their feet so they can, start taking care of their own sector.
It's a start, but the Iraqi troops have some things to learn before they're ready to take over.
They don't look too ready, but that's why we're doing it. We're going to get out there and give them suggestions and show them how it's supposed to be done.
For now, the U.S. troops will watch and help when they can, until their Iraqi counterparts are ready to assume responsibility.
We can't leave here until that's done. Until they can police their own nation, we're going to be here.
Whether that's sooner or later depends on how fast these Iraqi troops can learn.
Sometimes the only thing standing between soldiers and certain death is the protection provided by up-armored Humvees. Army Private Ashley Torres shows us what it takes to get our damaged vehicles back up and running.
Humvees take a beating here in Iraq. When they need some work, they go to an assembly line where they're fixed up to go right back out.
We are stripping vehicles. When it gets to my section, I put up the B pillars. They comes right here. They're throwing the frag 1 alphas. And it's going down the line where they fix the door. At the end of the line, they basically check their own vehicles, make sure everything is running. So we could get it out to the soldiers, and it's just basically extra protection for them.
Each station adds on their part, and they check down to the last bolt.
This is probably one of the most important steps of the truck, because this is the last step before it goes to QA, QC. We do the final adjustments on the doors, look for any missing bolts, washers, make all the final adjustments, make sure all the bolts are tightened to the proper specs, make sure everything's lined up and adjusted properly before it goes back to the customer.
With every bolt in place, the Humvee is good to go. Private Ashley Torres, 7th Impact, Baghdad, Iraq.
Coming up on Cav Country, get the latest around Multinational Division Baghdad with the Baghdad Update, and we'll meet a different kind of band of brother.
I'm Specialist Charlie Mabe, and this is the Baghdad Update. Who do you turn to when you need help with essential services in downtown Baghdad? You might start by calling in the ICE team. Their main mission is to develop, manage, and synchronize both infrastructure and large-scale construction projects within the 1st Cavalry Division's 2nd Brigade's area of operations. The ICE team's current project? They're building a landfill in southern Baghdad to get the trash off the streets and back into the dump where it belongs. Meanwhile, back at Fort Hood, there's been a grand reopening of the Soldier and Family Readiness Center. The remodeling project started before the Cav left for Iraq back in September. The new building will serve the purpose of making deployed soldiers' families feel at home while their loved ones are away. They have fax machines, a video teleconferencing center, and computers to help families keep in touch. And they also had a cake. But I don't think that's there every day, though. My sources say that it was only available at the grand reopening. And finally, for this next story, I may need to offer a warning. It may be upsetting to some viewers' stomachs.
It's a dirty job, but it's got to be done. Sewage. We often don't think much about what we flush, especially after it's gone. And when it goes, most of the time it goes down. Well, in Baghdad, this is not the case. Actually, in this case, what goes down must come up, or at least get going.
The lift station, they basically transfer it make it easy from like point A to point B, and then it goes into a bigger, per se, refinery, where it's where all the waste is distributed. It's broken down and then separated and then distributed onto another point.
There are several of these stations throughout Baghdad. This is an older lift station that is in need of repair. And a bad sewage lift station means raw sewage spilling onto the streets, causing everything from unsafe conditions to sickness. Well, enter the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers to the rescue.
We're going to replace the pumps, replace pumps, the electrical panels. We're going to basically refurnish the surrounding buildings and basically the compound. So just kind of basically bring it up to standards.
That's what sewage lift stations are all about, keeping a steady flow. For the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers Public Affairs Office, I'm Troy Roland.
And that's the Baghdad update. Back to you, Sergeant Granger.
Thanks, Specialist Mabe. Now we'll turn our focus from Iraq to a little rock, rhythm, and blues as Specialist Charlie Mabe introduces us to a band of brothers who've been entertaining troops for generations. Pershing's own, the U.S. Army Band.
I'm Staff Sergeant Larry Ferguson. I'm a percussionist. This is my first USO tour. It's my first time out of state. It's been great, very enthusiastic troops. It's everything I thought it would be.
Ferguson is part of a band of brothers you probably haven't heard a lot about, the U.S. Army Band. They've got lead guitar, bass, brass, singers, and a sound guy. And they've backed up some of the biggest names in the USO.
They're extremely talented musicians. It's my fourth year to do a USO tour with them. And first year I was a little hesitant. I didn't know what to expect coming into to the USO tour to do the show with them. But they were extremely impressive. They're true professionals.
But it's not about celebrity. For the U.S. Army Band, the real stars are the troops.
Oh, it's wonderful. Best audience in the world. There's no one better. No one better.
So the next time you catch a USO show, take a look behind the music. That soldier on lead guitar is just like you, only he plays better. I'm Specialist Charlie Mabe, 1st Cavalry Division, Baghdad.
That's it for this week. Tune in next time for a special Cav Country as we celebrate Three Kings Day with Puerto Rican National Guard soldiers with the 130th Engineers. Thanks for watching.